There we go. Are we on?
You're on.
Oh boy. Good evening. Thank you for being here. Okay. Situational response. I'll be going over some earlier basics. Um, Earlier basics are good. Response. Do we need a diagram here? What about, okay, here we go. There we go. Ba, ba, ba. Beep, beep. Okay. A situation comes at you, towards you, or you find yourself in a situation. Another person could be the same thing. Okay? So a situation or a person as a situation calls up naturally a response in your system. Naturally. If it's a good guy, you'll feel happy. Okay? If it's a pain in the neck person, you're going to feel something else. Okay? So, basics. It's based on something big. In the beginnings of creation, I want to try to diagram anything there. Just in the beginnings of creation, that's creation, okay? There was a force and another force, okay? So this at our tighter human level represents that. As you develop, okay, you'll find yourself in situations. Okay, as you grow more, due to the situation helping you, you'll get more squared away with situations. So there's a relationship with two forces, if you would. So physical character develops, and potentially his relationship with the situations he is in gets better. That's where we're trying to head. So where are we going here? Okay. Let's bring up Peter's principles. That's another one. Peter's principle. Let's use this old diagram. Okay, here's a guy, a person. Remember, when I say a word like guys, I'm so old school, that means women also. Okay? I'm old school. This person has a job, and he's comfortable there. He does fairly well in his job, and it's noted. So then he is offered a better, bigger position. And if that person is cool, they're able to cope with that bigger position they've been given. Okay, so they go from worker to assistant manager. As assistant manager, they're still cool, they're capable, and that's noted, hopefully. And the situation will present an even bigger. Okay, so from assistant manager to manager. Eventually, this person can't cope. Potentially, they can't cope. If they can, eventually they'll be CEO of the whole thing, right? But for the Peters principle, they reach a point where they can't cope with it anymore. Lauren, how is that worded? Peters principle.
A person rises to their level of incompetency.
Okay. so the person gets better and better and better, and suddenly incompetent. Okay. What's happened? Well, he was natural at drawing up more energy, creating a better character. That person has a better character. And as the job got bigger and bigger with more responsibility, he the person didn't know how to continue that process. Now they're feeling shaky. They're a little unsure. They're incompetent. Okay. Because they don't know how to mix up, my words, a better character. They don't know the energy laws, the finer dimensional of things, how that works. They're suddenly incompetent. They don't know where to go. In a certain way, they're killing themselves. They're really under pressure. What a shame. And in our culture, the person at that level can't say, oh, could you send me back to just being an assistant manager because I'm dying out here? That's sort of not allowed in society. What a shame. Uh, it would at least give temporary relief to that person and they wouldn't get a heart attack so early or whatever, ulcers, whatever. So where are we here? Okay, basically, getting pretty basic. Uh, and should we let's do a little physical on this. Something presents itself and you get an energy response in the body. Okay. Katya, could I borrow you for a moment? Let's do a little. You can stand and play along with me here. I'll use my physical partner. You use your invisible partner or visible to you, and as the partner steps in, you step back. So that's the response I would like you to play with. Okay, so here's a situation. Katya represents a situation. This thing is coming at me. This thing is happening. I don't want it to happen, so I move back in relation. Okay. Now, we did on different Fridays where you're getting energy and it pushes you. And if you allow it to push you, you do something dumb like that. Okay. You may grab the hand, but you don't see the knife here and you're dead. Lousy martial arts. Okay, so as we practice, here it comes, there I go. Have something to reference. For example, center. Did I lose my center? Did I retain it? Is it a bit better now? For example, my center feels better. It feels deeper and almost ground connected, almost. Okay, feels a bit fuller. Okay, and I continue. Easy. There's a situation. I'm getting energy. And in that case, a repeat of that one, I felt like there was a movement. If you could see, my movement was a bit smoother. Katya says yes. Uh, Almost felt like I was being moved back. So I'm already at a level where the energies, that's okay, where the energies are present enough and they're helping me move. Okay, helping me move. So in some form, in playing with a situation, check yourself. Okay? A lot of people don't understand, so they're checking out here all the time. How'd I do? I got her, I must have done well. But no, you're bent over. You're not breathing fully. You're not grounded. You're not fully present. Fully, fully. By the way, it's not an idea. I'm presenting an idea, maybe, but it's an experience. All of this stuff is an experience. An experience. Okay, let's move further up. So, one more. Easy. And they move in, you move back. You check. Settle, breathing. Use something. Fuller body. Present. Centered, I said, grounded. A little bit of calmness factor here. Use something to reference this system that is being energized because of this situation. That's a law. When a situation happens, something is happening here. That's a law. Okay? Now, a lot of people don't know about the law, so they say, oh, please stop doing that because it makes me nervous. They felt something, but they don't know. They give it a funny label. Oh, this makes me nervous. Okay, please, doctor, give me a pill so I'll stop being nervous. So now I have to take a pill every time Katya comes into the room. Okay, so to be able to read, feel that. One Friday, we'll get into this character that gets made. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that another time. As this, in this situation, as this character develops, being more centered, being more grounded, being more fully present, that's an inner flavor. I'm aware of the outer. I know she's leaning over. I can feel her leaning over. I don't have to come out here and get into that. As you get into your own inner finer, you're aware of that. I'm aware she's turnable. I'm aware. I'm at that level where I'm aware. Be aware this way. Okay? That's outer. We're doing an inner finer, an inner finer. Inner finer, I sense better. I know she's got weight on that right knee. I can feel it. Therefore, if I want to touch it, so to speak, I can affect her because I was aware. Now, we have to be careful of words because a lot of people say, oh, yes, aware means I look and I see her and I'm aware. So we have to catch on to how I'm using words. A settling, sensing, awareness, settling, sensing. Again, I'm aware she's starting to spin the air. So that would be a good move. Okay. I'm aware. But for me, that word aware is an inner sensing, not outer aware. So we have to catch on to the words as I used and find your own words. But that level, that same place, you can call it a different thing as long as you're at that level. Better level refers to dimensionality. I like that one because I like the way the feet moved well grounded from the get go. Because I'm more present, this system, click, click, her foot, my foot seem to click together. And again, Katya's agreeing to that. With your invisible partner, as they move, you move and breathe and feel, sense yourself, sense. Do not think about yourself. Remember thinking, huh? So feeling, sense, feel, sense, feel, sense, feel. Okay, so basics, a situation, in this case in an Aikido format, okay? There is a response of energy because of that. There's a relationship, so this energy reads that energy, harmonizes with it. Don't they say in Aikido, train harmoniously? Again, it's a word. God knows what people are doing with that. Katya, fall for me, okay? Fall for me. Oh, thank you. Now I'll fall for you. That's called harmony. Not in my school, it's not. Okay? Harmony is a certain level where things whoosh, whoosh, naturally happen at that level. If you're at that level, that's how it starts to work. Okay? So train harmoniously, get to that level where the beginnings of harmony, these are just the beginnings of it, start to show and are active. There is something, it's not an idea, it's an actual symptom. See, I didn't touch it at Turner, but just something is a something. It's there. It's not an idea. If I just have an idea about it, she won't turn. Okay. So let's take a break. So have your invisible partner and feel when they're starting to move at you, when they're moving at you, and you move in relationship to them. So invisible partner can become very real with a moment's practice. Okay, basics. So situation comes at you. Okay, natural response by this system. Now this system is smart. Okay, the energies, especially in finer and finer dimensions, are smarter and smarter. They'll mix up a better character. Okay. Uh, so if it's a situation that needs for you to move physically, you'll get those kinds of energies. If it's a situation for you to be more understanding, you'll get those kind of energies. If it's a system you're visiting your friend who's very sick in the hospital, you'll get that compassion, whatever you get energies. So it's a very intelligent system. This is trying to equalize with that because it was based in the creation of of one thing separating into twos, but the twos are still related to each other. The finer the dimension, the better they're related. We're kind of tied and locked in here in the human condition. And so we get a lot of non-connection and a lot of walls between people and countries and all that stuff. But finer and finer and finer, the truer of how it works begin to show. There's no sense he was trying to show you. He was at a finer dimensional level. He was trying to show you how things work there. You know, there can't really be an attack because it just gets dissipated there, or harmony's in effect. That's what he tried to show with as soon as you have the idea to attack me, you're already defeated because those finer laws are actually in effect. Actually, not as an idea. Well, the guy had an idea to attack, but already Osensei's system, because it was well connected dimensionally, started to activate. All right. So he's trying to show you from better dimensions how things really should be. Okay. Okay. Situation response basics. What have I missed here? Cover the Peters principle. I wanted to ask tonight, in a situation like you're on stage, I wanted to ask my musicians. We have some musicians out there talking to the other people who are well known, have been on the charts and whatever. If they can remember their first bump with stage fright or whatever happened when they got on stage with an audience, those early years of that, could we have those people on mic and could you talk to us a bit? Teacher, you want to start them off? We have others, but teacher, you want to start off on this?
I don't think Tisha's here yet. He tends to get here late.
Okay, he's late.
Denise is with us.
Denise? This is Kauai Denise or LA Denise. Big time band in her day. I don't remember the name of it. Sorry, Denise. Denise, any comment about your early years dealing with, quote, stage fright?
Yeah, I think it was, well, first of all, because we were, like, for me, off doing my own songs, so it was very revealing. You know, they were kind of intimate, and you know, they were was sort of sharing a deep place in myself, and not being able to at first maybe look out and it was sort of like looking out would pull me out of my space So I kind of had to create a little bit of a zone and stay in it.
Yeah.
But you
Little
know, I've worked with you from
self-protection.
when I was like 19 years old, you know?
Yeah.
And so really a lot of the work that we all did in those days, just in terms of knowing that something that I might have called nervousness was those energies being called up to offer and to share. So, you know, just from working with you to have much more of a sense of nervousness or excitement, or was just the energies being called up, you know, as if we were about to lift up something heavy and called up those energies.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the laying yourself open to the audience is calls up a lot, huh?
You know, now it's more like for me, just really wanting to feel that connection.
Yeah, that sharing.
Yeah. I mean, more and more so. I mean, in these times, you know, just it feels like that all of us need to have the experience of being connected and in a good spirit together. So, and it's an honor and it's a joy.
As we square away more our inner self, truer self, core self we start with, but this self that's there resides in the character, or the character is a protection, a costume that's around this true inner self. And again, one Friday, we have to go over more about the I to the self, to the finer self pattern. But as you get more present and as the costume character develops, what's happening in the background is this inner self uh, should be also developing along with it, because you sort of give it more room and it starts to develop. So you have this more truer, as Denise is saying, this truer feeling now of wanting to share with an audience her inner. Whereas when she was 19, it's like, oh my God, you know, do I want to let them know how I'm really feeling? I remember my bodybuilding lady friend. At first, she was a combination. She'd want to show her muscles, uh, uh, and at the same time, when we got into big time, there was also a tendency not to show them, to wait till the show was over virtually and then show them, but it's kind of late because the show is over. So this funny bounce back between wanting to show your muscles but not wanting to show the muscles. Uh, so to lay ourselves bare, to expose ourselves, is tricky at first for some people. So yes, the human condition. Anybody? I know we have also musicians. I think we have an actor or two on board. Any comment about that first, those earlier sense of what we're calling the energy response to being on stage? Anybody else? Richard? Somebody?
Well, Sensei, this is Lauren, and I had an experience professionally where the first time that I addressed 1,000-person crowd from a stage, when I stood up at the podium, all I could hear was the blood pounding in my ears and the lights shining in my eyes. With one breath, essentially, I was able to settle down, and then you hear your voice reverberating in the hall through the PA system, and you really, it sort of lifts your energy. And I noticed that you said, you know, earlier you talked about the Peters principle, where people rise to their level of incompetence, but I feel like it was more like I rose to the situation.
Yeah. No, if we can understand how it works, then that should be what happens more and more and more. And the other wilting along the way, less and less and less. So that's what we're kind of trying to lay out. That when a situation comes by law, your system has everything it needs, and it wants to mix up a character who will be better at that. And then the audience responds, and then you get this resonance back and forth kind of thing. That's where we're trying to head. But unfortunately, in the energy response of the system, people misunderstand that and they screw it up no end. So let's use dumb examples. The dumb example I've always used is uh, there's a little kid on the diving board for the first time that dive off the diving board into the water. It's his first time. And his father's watching him and sees him turning a little white and his knees shaking a bit and says to him, "Oh, you're afraid." Now the little kid has just learned a new word. When this weird energy stuff happens, it's called fear. And no one says to him, it's energy to give you the courage to jump, and it's energy to give you this body harmony thing so you don't jump out like that, but you jump out with some balance of body. And that's what those energies are trying to do. But we just taught that kid a new word, fear. You're feeling fear. Yeah.
Bob,
Yeah,
if you'd like, I have some input. I don't want to interrupt.
go.
Because I think the piece of it that I look at is what I think, and I think almost more than musicians in a way, although it's probably the same, but athletes in particular, they do these exceptional things, and it's what I call the cheers of the crowd. In the face of all those people cheering you on, you reach a little further, you run a little harder, you do whatever. I think to some degree, as a musician, for me, when the audience is there, whatever that means, it's not just your energy anymore. It's like an electric bus in San Francisco. It taps on the wires and it just draws all this extra energy, and it does things that by itself it could never do. So I guess the piece that I'm looking at is it's not so much in a funny way what you do with it, and the words are wrong here, but it's like if the you that's limited gets out of the way, something really beautiful starts to happen.
And by the way, I will take exceptions for get out of the way. If you mean the smaller I returns back to the more of itself, but just watch out for words like get out of the way. I don't want people to stand over here someplace and see if it's going to happen. But anyway, I'm tight on words. Okay. So yeah, there's a resonance. So the crowd cheers you on and that touches you and you naturally respond to that and you feel better. So there is a relationship. Okay. What we're trying to get is people to, at least let's start with this guy and say, when this comes at you, this guy gets energy. Now, what we're talking about here with this other thing is when the audience applauds you, you're also being affected. There's a resonance back and forth. Okay, and that's where we're going for, this resonance. So I don't think I've ever mentioned this story. When Marilyn Monroe was married to Joe DiMaggio, Marilyn came back after visiting the troops in Korea at the time. And she said, Joe, you can't believe how fantastic it was to have 1,000 guys cheering you. And he said, yes, I do. I know what that's like. I always thought that was a cute story. Anyway, so to rise to the occasion, to be equal to the situation is feasible, okay? But first we have to knock off with our dumb reactions. It's not fear. Careful of words like nervousness and stuff, because you can block it out instead of inviting it and allowing it. Again, basics, what's it trying to do? It's trying to mix up a better character you, the character on stage, the character that deserves applause or recognition, okay? so that the better the character, better the recognition, better the recognition, better the character. Yeah, so a back and forth kind of thing. But at least let's understand better with this first set, this character, uh, how not to block those energies out. Okay. Uh, how to open. First, have a sense of them. It's not mental after a bit, but first have a sense. Something is happening. I am getting more energy. So I settle and I open, and they're mixing up heat, a character. I trust the law that the energies have intelligence based on the original creation. It's all powerful, all loving, all intelligent, all harmonious, beautiful, whatever fancy word that you like, that's ingrained in the whole creation. Again, we're in the human condition, so a lot of those things have shrunk down a bit, but they're still part and parcel of the great mix. As we get finer and finer and finer, you can touch those more and more and more. They're part and parcel. So, how not to have a smaller identity and I block out this stuff. Okay, here comes energies. Doctor, give me a pill so I don't have to feel that. What'd you call that? Beta blockers? And I think it's something that blocks out feelings. Oh, these feelings are weird. Give me something so I don't feel those feelings. If that's true how I heard it, that's so sad. That's so sad. This is beautiful stuff. If you open to it and allow it and play with it, it'll show you. It's beautiful. That's why we do something simple, I call it dumb, like Aikido. It's a nice, simple, fun way, as an example, in many, many ways, of, of playing a game, but the real game is opening to the energies. That's the real work. So I feel sad when people are just doing the outer form of things and not catching the inner process that's going on. That's the real game. That's what Osensei tried to teach. Oh, well, it's not easy in the human condition. So what does that bring us to? Maybe that brings us to an oldie but a goodie, the potted plant theory. Okay. I don't know if did I draw this thick enough? This is a pot, and that's a plant. Are we okay? You see that? Right. Now we can tell looking at the plant that if you have any feeling for plants, that I'll say, it's time to repot it. It doesn't have enough room. It can't grow anymore. It's showing signs of being hemmed in. And then repot it. Okay, so here's two things. One is settle and open. All I'm doing when I push that settle, open, or clear, or breathe, or whatever that is. Again, not as an idea after, but I'm presenting an idea, but it's really an actual settling sense experience of more room. See, I sense it. I can feel, I can feel this circle around me getting bigger. It's a sense experience, not an idea experience. The idea won't work as well or very good. Experiential. Okay. So when I ask you to easy, settle, open, I'm just trying to get you basically into a bigger pot. Okay, simple enough. Now, when I say this is a finer dimension, just to give you a sense that you're moving from that size to that size. It's a finer dimension. It's right here, but it's a finer dimension. Okay. Another way of looking at this, we did the 1 by 2 by 3 by game. We could say, okay, this represents a 1 by 1. And that plant can't grow very well because it's a 1 by 1 setup. Then we went into a 2 by 2, where the whole flavor of this plant was better because we were in a 2 by 2. And I did a 3 by 3 that was even better. So when I talk about settling and opening, I'm talking about a bigger pot. Okay. When I talk about finer energies, this pot has fresher soil, newer soil. We've even thrown in some miracle grow there. So when I say open up, there are finer energies mixing. A plant would instantly catch, oh, there's miracle grow here, and would instantly be sucking it up into its system. Okay? Wouldn't have to be threatened or whatever. It would just instantly kind of do that. I was thinking when I was mulling on this the other day, I may give up Aikido and become a nurseryman. I think it'd be easier. Katja said something brilliant. Sitting on my porch, and we have a little garden out front, and she said, "Oh, I forgot to water that plant." And then she instantly said, "Oh, that's okay. It'll help it to grow deeper roots." I thought, wow, that was kind of simple, profound. Okay, because it was short on water, the plant's intelligence said, "I better dig deeper here." And so that's what she said. "Oh, that's okay. I missed a day watering. It'll grow better roots." I thought that was profound. Just boom. Thank you, Katja. So, potted plant theory. More room in internal sensing. It's not more room in this room. It's an interior sense. Okay. And in a finer dimension, more room infers a finer dimension. There are finer energies for better soil or magic grow. What is it? Magic grow? Miracle grow. Thank you. Miracle grow. And that's how it works. Okay. The plant will immediately take advantage of it. In the human condition, I get, "Sensei, what does that mean to open up? Why are we doing this? What is energy?" The plant wouldn't give me any of that back talk. That's why I think I'll go open up a nursery, close down the dojo. Joking. Okay. So the potted plant theory. I was trying to think of something Osensei said, but I can't do it verbatim, so I'll pass on it. Basically something about something like, be a towering tree that stands over a human being. And he was using that tree to represent a finer level of self, not that you'd be a tree at a finer level of yourself, but your roots would be deeper and you'd grow taller and straighter. Your center would be better. Sense of yourself might be more grandeur. Longevity, or if that interests you, would be there. He was just being symbolic with that tree that towers over a human being. He was just using that symbolically. But finer dimension, finer self mixes up a character. Okay. Sensei had different names for himself on his journey. Again, the one that was common was, if he wanted to act like a normal human, he'd say, "Oh, you mean this old man," referring to himself. Another time he'd say, "I am Ueshiba of Aikido." And watch out then, because the magic was in effect. Things were happening. So, where are we? Situation. Go back there. Okay. There are some situations come at us, and we don't like those situations. We try to stay away from them. Or if the situation is some person you don't care for, they're really a pain in the neck. You try to avoid them. Okay, and you're free to do that, of course. But for practice, to what might be happening is the energy qualities that you need for that person might be energy qualities that you're not used to. Okay. And or you may have a misunderstanding about them, that you think they're bad guys. I call that the monster theory. When there are energies that are trying to mix in your system, but they showed up when you were a little kid and you had a bad scene. And from that moment on, those energies are looked, because they coincided with the bad happening. You were molested or whatever. Therefore, that energy is bad. The energy is just trying to help you deal better with the situation. But you're a little kid. What do you know about energies? Okay. But that problem stays and stays and stays. So here you are, an adult, and you need that particular quality, but it's one you've looked upon as a monster, so you stay away from it. You block it out. So I call that the monster theory. How to settle and invite a monster to come in. It wants to come in because we all have a particular mix, and it's chasing you around because it's part of your normal grouping, but it hasn't been allowed. So it keeps sort of following you around, trying to be part of the mix, and we keep fighting it away. Okay, so anyway, so we could practice in situations that you're not that comfortable with. If you'd like, you could practice what are the energies that would change my makeup, help me be a little different character so I could deal with that idiot. Okay, I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm just saying if you want to practice fun around. I remember doing a period where if I wanted to do something, I forget examples, I wouldn't do it just to hang out with myself and see what would happen. And then if I had things I didn't want to do, I would go, okay, but I'd go do them just to see what would happen, to get the flavor of what was going on. So I wouldn't do things I wanted to do for practice, and I would do things I didn't want to do for practice, and just to study my system, what was going on there. So if it interests you, anything like that. So I don't like that situation because it calls up in me certain energies that I am not comfortable with. Okay. All right. So whatever you want to do with that, again, you're free to stay away from that situation. You're free to stay away from that person. But if you want to fun around a bit, you could play that. This guy annoys me so much. What's the energy that could happen here that would compensate for it? Could be, well, he's kind of dumb, an understanding of where he's coming from, even though he's kind of dumb, or whatever. Again, I trust the intelligence of the energies. I don't have to tell the energies how they should be. I try to say, what do I need now? I trust the intelligence that what I need now, they'll respond to that. Okay. Instead of, well, I need this, and now I want you to give me a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I don't want to interfere with it. It's too natural. It's too intelligent. Eventually, these energies major in the great intelligence of creation. They major in the great love of creation. They major in the great harmony. I want to head that way. Okay. And allowing the energies brings me, I'm going from dimension to dimension to dimension in doing that. So whatever you want to do in playing with that, okay? Get the sense of it, find something simple where the situation's not that bad or the person's not that horrible, where you can practice a bit if you want to. Okay? So, but anyway, just understand the law that when things crop up, you're affected. And a thing could be a person or whatever, you are affected. But the creation system says, but this problem and this reaction, someplace they are in harmony with each other. I know it's hard to believe in the human condition. What's that spiritual Western religion statement? Nothing will be given to you that you can't handle, something like that. Do you know that one? Can you paraphrase it better than I did? No? Any Christians want to jump in on that one? God gives you only what you can deal with. Yeah, if this thing comes at you, it's only because you can deal with it. God said so. In the human condition, it's interesting, but I don't know if I can believe that. But it is based on the truth. But we just have to get to a much finer state where this is an actual. Again, Osensei tried to show you that. Okay. So sort of basics, huh? The energy situation. Boom. Did you ever get on? Or did he skip us tonight? He's on?
Here now.
I'm here, Sensei.
Earlier in the evening, I asked the musicians who've been on stage to see if they could remember first on stage. You're not well known yet, but you're on stage. The energies that were coming in to help you be a better player, a better character on stage. Do you remember some of those and what you thought was going on with those earlier energies, and then later what they developed, what tricks of the trade you learned to utilize them, or whatever you did? Any comments there?
Yeah, sure. So at the beginning, you have, I think, what's commonly called butterflies, right?
Butterflies. Yeah.
Butterflies. So butterflies is that arising of the energy before you're about to perform. If you misunderstand that, you get overtaken, you tense up, and as you gain more experience, you can realize, yeah, here it comes. This is my time to play, to present, and to contribute. So I think the tricks of the trade are just not to push that away, not to reject that, but to breathe it. I can remember even my first professional times when I was a young singer. I was in a choir that traveled all over the world. I was 10 years old, and I was the lead in. We played for Congress, and we did a couple other things like that when we were in Washington, D.C.
10 years old, pressure's on. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so you feel all that, and if you have a good, maybe a good coach, somebody's standing next to you and say, okay, now breathe, and you can do this. This is what you're going to do. And you get some confidence after you do it a few times to realize, yeah, that arising of the energy, the rising of the butterflies is a signal that what you're going to do is, it's not something to be fought against. It's something to directly connect with. So, and that happens later on. I mean, I think you were with me at the Great American Music Hall, and like that was a big deal, like in the mid 80s, I mean. And yeah, just breathing that in, like, oh yeah, this is a break. This is an opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about you, about being famous singer at 10 years old.
How about that?
You have to tell me more about those days.
I will.
Okay. Yeah, you see the trick there, breathing. So here's a batch of energy. wants, it just makes up a better capable singer. And how, as Tisha said, we could try to block it out, which is wasting your time. My God, you're blocking up something that's natural and da. What a shame. But anyway, to recognize, oh, the butterflies are coming. Oh, good. I'm going to breathe them in. I'm going to allow them, and they're going to mix me up as a better singer. I almost want to break into song here at the moment. Thank you, Tisha. That was good. Yeah. So, Michelle Kipe, are you on? What? Nobody on tonight?
Well,
Well,
not
sorry,
Michelle.
Michelle. Not Michelle. Huh? Miss me. I was just going to remind her because she really likes to teach kids to definitely don't go near that. Oh, you're scared, huh? Try to teach them our language of what that really is and how it works. Start them young. We don't have to wait till they're 40 years old and try to explain energy to them. So we should. I was even thinking about what an interesting summer camp, a summer week or two for kids at a certain age, where you're doing physical things, but all of your stress, all of the focus is on this opening and being energized by. So whatever we did, we're running, you'd open them up for that and explain how that works. If you were rowing, you'd open them up for that. If you're throwing a ball, you'd open them up for that. So this sense of, oh, I've got to do something. I'm going to settle and open, and it's going to mix me up as a ball thrower. Really make that clear to them. I just think done right, that could be a hell of a camp for kids. I won't get around to it, but think on it. We just have to have more people who are energy aware to facilitate that. Not an idea, it's an active something. Okay, so kind of basics tonight. Did I run over already? Almost, did I? Yeah, pretty close. Kenny, I'm not sure how I want to do it tonight. Did we want to have any questions now, and then we'll just finish up?
Sure. Let's give that a shot and see how it goes.
Okay, let me move in closer. There we go.
If
You
you
gonna
want,
get a glass of wine?
Sensei.
No, I'm good sober. Okay, so I know it was pretty basic, but questions on anything, we'll see what pops up. I'll try.
Just open up your mics.
I really liked it, Bob, and the distinction you were making about not getting out of the way, but rather something shifts there. I guess I wonder how, if it interests you at the moment, how you might talk about the fact that sometimes it knocks you one way, and this is with or without training, and other times it's like, my general feeling, I really related to what Tisha was saying, but my general feeling is, I think most of us, like, I think you like teaching, you get there and you get energy from the people and something shifts. You used to say, eat the energy. And I guess I kind of want to say, it's like, the question is it you that's eating the energy? Because all of a sudden you're a different person. Last thought, a lot of times when it's been good, I get off stage and I don't even know what happened. You have that in class sometimes?
Well, again, if I'm going to put you down here, maybe, if you have a sense of yourself, but on stage you open and it mixes up a better level of yourself, and you don't really catch that, you don't really take it on, I could say, then you walk off the stage and you say, who was that? I don't remember who that was. I didn't do that. Who was that? Does that make sense to you?
It's not what I'm talking about. It's almost the opposite, in the sense that whatever does happen at that point, something comes through And it's not that, you know, I get your thing about, you know, well, gee, I didn't know that I was that person. No, it's not like that. It's like you're totally there and it's totally happening to the point where you come back and it's like, I don't know how to say it. It wasn't you in the
Say it.
sense.
Say something, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's all right. It's just it's a very enjoyable feeling. You know, you come back and it was like, if I may, it's a little like orgasm. It's not really you at the moment. Something disappears in that moment. And at the same time, there's something really full.
Okay, so you're thinking about the plus of it. Yeah, the other way around. Okay. Somebody something?
Yeah, Bob, it's Mike from New Zealand.
Yeah.
Talking about fear, do you believe that fear is always misinterpreted, or are there occasions when that traditional sense of fear is real?
I don't know, depends what you want to, for those who don't speak New Zealand, he said fear. Okay, now, let's go back. You really want to use that word fear? You're free to.
No,
But-
not really. I was just thinking of the example of you're on a trail and you meet a bloody big bear in front of you.
Yeah, you're going to get one hell of a lot of energy. You want to call it fear? Feel free.
All right, so even in that situation, you would get energy sufficient to deal with it.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Okay.
Because I don't remember the rules they put in the newspaper when we have a local, what kind of cats do we have up here? Mountain lions. Oh, if you run into a mountain lion, and I forget the rules. What? Stand tall, make the noise. I'm just going to trust the system to do whatever. And if the system stands tall, it's going to stand tall. If it shouts, it's going to shout. I just trust the system to do the right thing. I ain't got time to say, oh shit, I've got to do something with my fear because there's a mountain lion right in front of me here. But if you like the word, use it. I just think it kills my process.
Understood.
I won't really open to more fear. Oh God, thank you. Give me more fear. I want to slurpee up fear. I want to mix fear. I won't do it with that word. So I don't like the word.
Okay.
But if
So
you like it, feel free.
No. But basically, the process you're describing then is an immutable law that if you give it a chance, the system will bring up the resources you need to handle that situation appropriately.
By lot, supposed to, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you used to say fear is the harbinger of power.
I said that, huh? Not bad. Thank you.
Hey, Bob.
Yo.
Hey, Dave Flater here. Throughout this, since the beginning, I've noticed one of the things that has held me back, used to hold me back, was trying to do things perfectly. And when a mistake would show up, I would down myself, so to speak. So anyway, I'm now working, with the energies and staying positive, etc. But and embrace my mistakes because they're always going to happen. Whether
Yeah.
no matter
Hey,
what I'm doing.
I just tend to play a percentage game with them. Of course, my first movement isn't fantastic, but I kind of know what was good and what was bad. I just don't stress the bad. I'm aware of it. It's not like saying it didn't exist, but I tend to like to stress the good. Oh, I stood a little bit straighter. Yeah, dummy, but you missed his hand. I know I missed his hand, but I like that I was standing straighter. So I like to play percentages and not make it at that moment. Oh, it's horrible, bad, and you're an idiot because you missed his hand. So percentages, but there was something, hopefully, a little bit good there. And then I just keep working with it, being present with it, opening to it, till after a bit I don't miss his hand. But to be too critical, a tight eye, by the way, is critical as hell. Remember, tight eye, critical?
Yes.
Yeah. So you got to watch out for a tight eye. It'll stop you dead in your tracks. So anyway, a percentage game, I don't know if that fits in for you, but I kind of like it. Now that you're on, though, you reminded me of something. For everybody out there, there's Dave sent it to me some years back, some tapes by the channeled work. Abraham was the being channeled through a lady, last name Hicks, Hicks. And David sent me the tape, a few of the tapes. They got tapes and books and all kinds of stuff now, big organization, I guess now. But I think, if I recall, their basics were the more squared away you are, the more squared away the realm, the situation, the universe you're in, can harmonize with you, that there was a proper way of being you, character present properly, so that the situation could respond in a more balanced manner. And I thought from a little bit I got from David, on that group, Abraham, the finer dimensional being, who was channeled by this lady named Hicks. I thought it was a nice little piece. I thought they worded it not bad. I thought some of their tapes, when they were giving shows, I thought were kind of cute. So if it interests you to get a relationship of a better squared away character, better the situation, how to respond, and how to know when you're screwing that up, which they go into, might be of interest to you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Floater, for that.
Yes,
Thank you. Bob Noah here.
Yeah.
Bob Noah here.
Yeah.
Just to kind of piggyback on the example you were giving. my
Can you
father
get
told me
closer to closer? You're a little
Hear
fading.
me now? Is that better?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, my father told me a story about a guy he was friends with in World War II. The guy had gone to West Point. He was from a military family, and first battle they were in together, after it was over, they couldn't find the guy. And they tried to overrun a pillbox, a Japanese pillbox. And they found the guy inside the pillbox, and he was so afraid that he was holding on to a piece of metal in the pillbox, and they had to pry his fingers off to get him out. But one of the sergeants knew exactly what to do. He didn't say, "God, Lieutenant, you're a coward. You're never going to make it." He said, "Lieutenant, this happens to everybody. The next time you'll be fine." And he was. Next time he was fine.
Okay. It's kind of brand new. Just get used to it. You'll be okay. Yeah. Thank you, Bob, for that story. Yeah, a lot of people pre-battle don't know how they're going to react. They know they're going to get a lot of energy in some form, right? But they don't know how they're going to be able to handle it. So it's a question, from what I've heard, in all warriors' minds when they're pre-battle. Anyway, so anything else? out there?
Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
I'm here. Are you there?
I'm here. This is Gina in Hawaii. How are you, Robert?
Oh, how's the hurricane?
On its way.
Not there yet, huh?
Not there yet.
Bad enough Corona. She's got a hurricane in Kauai. Damn.
So years ago, you taught me that the butterflies were the energy coming to do the job, which I've always used and it's always worked. But now I'm doing more theater. And after I do a performance like 6 nights, I don't feel it anymore. You know what I mean? The butterflies aren't there. I'm so comfortable. So do you need them there, or can you? I mean,
That's a good question. Oh boy, I don't have an answer right yet. Give me a moment. The butterflies that used to be there aren't there. Okay, so first I would surmise your norm has opened up a bit to where it just naturally takes those butterflies just naturally absorb, mixes them. Could we say mixes them? You want
And
to
I try
spark
all
that?
tricks to get more.
Yeah. What do you try? What are your tricks to try to get more?
When you taught me to
Outward.
like go back one and then forward one and then back two and forward two, I'll do that backstage,
Okay.
things like that.
Let me give you something simpler.
Okay,
What about you? So pre-stage time,
yes,
you say, not only, of course, I'm going to do my show, at which time you don't get any butterflies. You're used to doing your show, or you're
yes,
out of that you push on them and you say, I want to do this one perfectly, or I want to do this one greatly, or I want to do it where they say, oh my God, why she isn't on Broadway in New York? She was fantastic. Why don't you push on it to call up more energy to see if that does the trick?
just ask.
Yes. Have you not been here? Hang on a second. Have you not
Yes,
been here for my famous sit stand practice?
yes, I've been here for every one.
Well, then pay attention. Now I'm going to lay it out again. I would like to stand better. And that
Oh,
is being
got it.
sent down to this pool of energy. Boom. Okay. Yeah, kind of smooth, but my knees gave away. David, good and bad. I do percentages. Easy. I still would like to stand better, whatever better means. I'm not pinpointing it better, whatever that means. The system heard it. It's responding because they're partners. It's a law. Okay, again, the knees are still a little weak, but there was a kind of a whoosh up my back that kind of helped carry me up. And on and on and on. Gina, are you there?
Yes,
What do you want to be great? You want to be perfect for that show? You want them to recognize you as a New Yorker, not a little island girl?
of course.
Play that game. See if it works.
Okay, thank you.
You had a health question. Also, I'll have to get, I don't know, maybe you should call me.
Okay,
Let me go over. No, I don't know if I can do that here. Okay, Gina,
yes,
we talked some years ago when you were sick, and we talked about settling down. We used the basement as a reference, and we did something and then came up from the basement. Basement was referencing a pool of energy, finer dimension. That was just a trick to settle deeper and get there. I think we did something like that. Is that right?
yes,
Okay. What I'm going to say now is something bigger. Have a sense of your entire world, whatever that means, just a quick moment, my entire world, and the fullness of me, Gina, and the fullness of Gina, and the truer self that's here, this core self, and the truer self. So you got all the main pieces now. You got self, character, and realm you're in. That all of that sort of went out, all of that, whatever, you don't have to go into details about what it all is, but that sense of all of it that goes out is all coming back. It's this great downtime, if you would, coming back down deeper through this darker, calmer, not I'm nervous, I'm calm, not that calm. The great calmness down deeper and deeper and deeper. And someplace there ought to be a floor or a base of this, lets you know it's there. And if you do it this big, it's pretty deep and all of that, but it's there someplace. And from there, boom, it springs out again in the next finer level of it. And all those pieces, the realm piece, the character piece, and the truer self piece, they all were drawn in, they all went closer to the source, and they all respond back out from the source. Does that make any sense to you?
yes, I will work on it. Yes,
Yeah, you have my number. Give me a call if you have any problem with it.
It's my vision.
Okay, give me a call sometime.
Okay,
Fun around.
thank you.
Thank you. Gina from Kauai, good singer. Stage, that sounds like a good place to be. Stage, yeah. Oh, we'll catch him later. Anything?
Well, there were a couple of questions about sort of what do you do when you have a bad relationship to the energy of a particular situation that you're, going into repeatedly.
Okay, so here's the situation, and what's happening with me about that situation?
You feel the energy comes up, and you get afraid, you get overwhelmed,
It's more than you think you can handle.
I think that emotionally are overwhelmed. It's not a thought. It's it gets the label, I'm afraid, and then I can't deal with my fear.
Okay. Well, one trick is not to wait for that exact situation to happen, but to play a copy game at home, if you would, to imagine that you're going to be entering this situation that causes all this, to imagine it, and then to imagine, feel, experience, not imagine up there that way, experience, imagine the energies, and you got more time because you're not in the actual, but you are in the actual, but it's at home where you can take your time with it and hang out with it longer. So I guess we could call that a make-believe run, but not make-believe. See words again, not make-believe. My make-believe is experiential as hell. When I hang out in finer dimensions of the universe, I may be making it up, but it's experiential as hell. It's not some make-up idea, whatever. So that sense, would that help that person? Let them try that, and if not, get back to me. But to rerun it, where you've got time to hang out with the energies that are bugging you, but in essence are really pretty cool, but they're bugging me at the moment. You could maybe dialogue with them. Hey, you're really bugging me. Is there anything I can do so you don't bug me? Or I heard you're a nice guy, but at the moment you're bugging the shit out of me. Could you explain yourself better? To have time to hang out and have a conversation and whatever. Something like that might help. If not, come back to me. Kenny, did you like that answer all right?
Yep. Yeah, I did. It reminds me of the practice you used to do if someone was having a problem at work or in a relationship. Do 4 techniques, just
love
regular.
that game.
Yeah.
Yeah. What Kenny's talking about is sometimes people in the dojo would approach me and say, "Oh, I'm having trouble with my boss or something," with the sense of, "Could you help me?" And I'd have them do a basic technique, Shihonage or something, till they could hold it consistent. So after a minute or two, if I could see a consistent Shihonage and they were fairly present there, and Shihonage again fairly present, where they could be consistent for about 4 in a row, I'd say, "Oh, okay, that's consistent. Now the uke is your boss." And suddenly, that person who had just been consistent, looking the same over and over and over, would suddenly, and you could instantly see their relation with their boss and why that was happening. Did I say that okay? It was a great game. I love that game. Yeah. So thank you for reminding me on that. Did you have anything to add to that or say about that, Kenny?
No, I think, my memory is like yours. It's just such an incredible, practice. And I have used it with people.
It was fantastic. Yeah.
yeah,
You
so-
could see instantly their problem with the boss. It was right there. Either they're trying too hard or or they put themselves down or whatever. It was, you could see it. It was so obvious. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It was a great, great game. Worked every damn time. We're eating up time. Anybody, anything before we finish up?
Oh, Sensei, this is Lauren, and we had another question that related to Kenny's earlier query. So you're faced with a situation, it's labeled fear, you feel the energies come up, you understand that you should settle down, but the energies, if you will, are constantly bumping you, constantly pushing on you, and how do you find a break to establish yourself under that
I'm
pressure?
going to put you down, Lauren. I'm going to put you down. You've got to actually practice with these things. See, you know them, you understand them. Remember, you're an intellectual. Not bad, but more practice on opening and allowing. So when they're actually there or coming in stronger, you kind of know how to open up more and absorb them. You need the actual practice. It's not, oh, I understand that. Sorry, but there we go.
Just to be clear, Sensei, I'm asking this on behalf of someone else anonymously.
Fine. Then I'm treating them like I would treat you.
Well, don't take it out on them.
Somebody's got to take the brunt here. Anyway, so yeah, practice more in the summer so it'll be there in the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. Kind of what I said before to somebody about you having trouble with the immediate entry into that situation. Okay, I understand that. But I think you waited a bit long. Practice at home where you just set this up, not just as an idea set, but as a actual setup. You have a view thing of this situation and you settle, here come the energies, and you have time to hang out with them. I would tell that person the same thing. Do that. Yeah. Because really, there shouldn't be, in a certain way, I know human condition's a bitch, but I don't want to say you should because that puts pressure on people. But with a little practice, you can handle more and more and more. But you got to practice in the summer. So suddenly there's a winter situation there. Hit! And you can open up gangbusters, and it mixes up gangbusters. Oh, Sensei was so fast. He could go pop, and suddenly this amazing thing was there. And he would say, yes, it's instantaneous, potentially. But to get to instantaneous, we have to go through these slower steps for a little while. But yes, it is instantaneous and vast, and it's a Shazam. Really, it's a Shazam, from a normal, who's Shazam? Crippled kid, was that? And suddenly Shazam, and he's this superhero. So that's a potential, but we have to practice a bit. The movie, I'm going to sound like Jack Wada here at this rate. The movie, the first movie, Spider-Man, I loved to see when he was practicing being Spider-Man, the mistakes he was making where he'd try to stick onto something, trip and fall and whatever, and how he developed. I thought it was perfect. It was like perfect timing because that's sort of what it's like. Even though you're not Plastic Man, Spider-Man. Sorry, Spider-Man. Even though you're Spider-Man, you have to sort of practice a bit to develop the skills. So I thought that scene in the first movie where he's practicing was very well done. My apologies to Jack Wada for stealing his material. Anybody else before we finish up? I'm happy here. I've got my wine. I'm on camera. Are we finished or is there anything?
Sensei, this is
Yo.
Dave in Chicago. I love your idea of experiential imagination in the context of that sort of energy aware summer camp for kids. And I'm trying to think about how that could manifest, what that would look like. And I'm having a difficulty seeing it, but the idea feels good.
I wish, what's her name was on?
Michelle.
Anyway, Michelle, Kite, right up her alley. First, you'd need enough people, staff, who were into energy awareness. And right about there already, I say, oh, we're dead in the water. I don't know if we have the teaching staff. But again, to start the kids off with how it really works. I did this practice at Esalen, which quite often, I kind of like doing it. A circle of people. We had a big room and there were big pillows in the room. And I'd take one of the big pillows and we just start to throw it around the circle to each other. There were no rules, although along the way I may have been saying, let's continue to be centered or settle open. I don't remember, it's been years back. And after a while, they would be throwing it better. And after a while, it was clear who they were throwing it to, whereas at first it wasn't. They would throw it and God knows who they were throwing it to. I don't think they knew, and a person on the receiving side didn't know. It wasn't clear. Sometimes they couldn't even get the pillow across to the other person. It would die midway. But they learned to be present and get more fully bodied. That would happen. I forget, again, settle, open, I forget what we used to trigger, but no rules. And then at first you'd see people, if a pillow came by them, they would grab for it. Even though it wasn't meant for them, they would grab for it. And we would continue. No, nobody's making rules. I'm not making rules other than settle and open and whatever. I can't remember right now. And then after a while, again, the pillow throwing got more exact. It was clearly to that person. And there was energy in the pillow to that person. And I saw amazing things like the pillow go past the nose of some people. And they wouldn't reach for it because they knew, because they were more settled. They knew it wasn't for them. It was for that person over there. And those people earlier were grabbing anything that came near them, were letting it touch their nose as it went by because it wasn't meant for them. It was meant for this person. And these social things would happen where they'd realize one of the guys got left out of the throwing. And they'd say, oh, and it was just, nobody said anything, but suddenly somebody would notice he's been excluded for a while, as people would be in a group, and they'd throw the pillow to him and other people would catch, oh yeah, he's been excluded. I'm making up what their thoughts were. And a lot of people would throw to the person who heretofore had been left out to bring them up to date. And all this would naturally happen. We wouldn't talk about what we should do and who we should include and all of that. I forgot what our base was, settle, open, whatever. But all these beautiful things would happen. So why am I presenting that here? Now, how to get a circle of children with not a heavy pillow, but children-sized pillow, to throw this pillow back and forth and see what happens. And what key words would you use? Settle and open or whatever. Stay centered, I'm not sure. So they begin to catch on to the ability of changing into a better person. And maybe at the end of it, you could show them how they were better, how they threw better, how they caught better also, how they included some people who weren't at first included, how nice you were sharing, that just happened. How you didn't grab things that weren't yours. You knew it wasn't for you, it was for him, and applaud them because they're children, you want to build them up. And anyway, to teach basic energy stuff to children in a variety of physical ways. So you'd have whatever, paddling, rowing, throwing a ball, of course, and whatever else. All of them based on how to open them up to energy, so the energy will mix up a better rower, ball thrower, whatever. So they really get a sense of this and get away from, oh, I'm nervous, that's scaring me, and work through all that stuff at that age so they can grow up to be better adults. So I think that's all I have to say about that. Again, I think that when I first thought about this, how nice that would be, of, oh God, where would we get the teaching personnel? Because they're in Aikido, I'm sorry, going to speak bad again. I don't know if there's enough people in Aikido. I would hope so. Dear God, please. Who would say, oh yeah, I could teach that. I could work with kids. I even know how to do some different practices here with that and develop them that way. I don't know if we have the personnel. Dear God, I hope so, but unfortunately, I question. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but that's where I'm coming from. You got a sense of it?
Yes, that was incredibly helpful, Sensei. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Still think it'd be a fun camp if we had the personnel. Could be great development. Anyway, I'm pooping out here. We're approaching 8 o'clock. Anybody anything before I actually poop
I
out?
think there's a question from Joanna.
Okay. Joanna, you're on. Lauren, I hear nothing from Joanna.
Perhaps she's muted.
It was a statement more about how if you do what you're saying, then it actually, that what we're back to fear is the harbinger power, that it actually helps you.
Yeah. So she was saying a positive.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you do this, you'll be cool. In Aikido, some people think I'm cool. This is all I've ever done. So if that means anything to you. Oh, Sensei was really cool. That's why I followed him. He was cool. That's why I got into the things I got into. Harbinger, is that the right word?
Harbinger.
Harbinger, yeah.
And I
Joanna,
think
I
Joanna
say
is
it right.
Hello?
Joanna?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So about the plant, what is the trigger point, like when the plant stop receiving water, being watered by someone, that the plant needs to root deeper and dig deeper to find water?
I'm just saying that's very, I know you're going to ask a second question, but you got to understand me. I can only deal with one question short, so that's me. The plant automatically begins to dig deeper on such a time. People, we're so dumb, unfortunately. We're so out of it that we're not, oh, that's energy, or, oh, I got to ground more. The plants are doing it instantly. That's why I said, I think I'll quit the dojos and become a nursery man person.
Okay.
I'm sorry, continue.
No, I was just thinking that for human beings, could be something more stronger than only could be fear or getting bored or stress or any situation. You know, what happens inside of us that make us go deeper with our roots? What do you think? How can you find that click?
Okay. One thing, it has to be a desire, let's say from yourself. Remember, there are two pieces there. The character body mix, the situation, and this very important piece, which I don't think we've really brought up enough or in a session, true self, we call core self to start with. This true self, the finer self, the more original self that is here and is embodied, kind of like protected a certain way, and it's true self that will wants to show that it's here more, and it'll push. So it's not just energies coming at you pushing. That's one form of push. The truer self has a different form, and pushing is not the right word, but I forget what word I'm using there. But it calls out for, hey, I'm here and I exist and I want to be more there. That if you don't have a calling or a push, I question whether you're going to want to do any of this.
Yeah.
You say to somebody, I think you can be a better person. And that person often will say, I don't give a shit. I'm fine the way I am. leave me alone. They don't have a sense that there's something more there. And if they don't have a sense, I don't know what to do. We're in the human condition. You can bring them to water, but you cannot make them drink. There has to be, I think, at least I'll say it right now, some inner calling, some inner urge that you are more, there is more. I remember mine from high school. I looked at the world and said, is this it? Is this it? If this is it, I don't give a shit. I had a sense there was something more. Okay. Some people don't have really a sense of something more. Those are the people that ought to come to the dojo and say, Sensei, I have a sense of something more. Can you help me? And I would hug them and drag them into my class. But some don't. You can't force them. It's the human condition. So I think, unfortunately, a lot of it is either you have a call or you don't. And if you don't, I say to you, are you happy? Are you comfortable? I call that level of comfortableness. Then go ye and be fine. They have to have some inner interest, some inner sense that there's something more, that inner sense that they are really somebody much more. So, did I sort of answer anything there?
Yes, perfectly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're running over time plus here, so I think we should finish up.
Oh, sorry,
Anything-
Mike from New Zealand again. I just wanted to make the comment on the pillow throwing exercise with the kids. I've done a more martial version of that with adults where we've thrown a Joe. The only rule being exactly the same as what you described. The only rule being that you have to try and keep the Joe vertical, just to minimize any obvious health risks. And yeah, everything you described happens as the exercise proceeds.
Yeah, and with something like that, keep the Joe vertical. Maybe I don't know. Maybe saying, and will you centering? Are you centered? If you're more centered, the Joe ought to naturally be caught more vertical. That's the only thing I might add, but whatever. But yeah, cool.
Thank you, and thanks very much, Bob. It's been a great class.
People, thank you very much. Again, the basics are very important. Don't mind going over them again and again and again. You know, the sit, stand, and wanting to stand better or fuller or whatever. I meant to do that tonight and I forgot. Remember, those simple things are important practices. So if you want to practice. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Great class.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you, Sensei.
Mhm.